Come on.
Well, damn. Well, thank you very much. You guys ready? You ready for war?
There we go. Especially for you, Cappy. Why can't I hear you?
Because the microphone was muted.
Don't scare me like that. I had audio issues this morning with Rob, and now I'm like, oh, it's all me because I got a new microphone. Look at that.
Nice. Is that a Shure?
Yeah, huh?
Nice.
Goddamn right it is. Here, there you go. It's
Look
the
at
one with
that.
a fancy light that you have too.
Yeah.
There you go.
That ready for war thing. I respect old man Rollo, right? I am not besmirching him at all, but he is a product of the 80s, maybe a little bit of the 70s as well. And when you play that, it does not remind me of him. It reminds me of people his age who are into that hair rock band, but are fat fucks and imagine that they're Vikings. And they're doing this. Whereas Rollo would be up on the stage playing the guitar. So
from that perspective, I understand your grievances, sir.
Yes.
And speaking of grievances, did you know that a lot of women have grievance that their husband is leading, and they have grievances with following their husbands? Did you know that?
When did they not have a grievance? And since they were never going to not have a grievance, isn't the logical result that men stop listening to them and they're just doing their thing now?
I know, right? They're bailing out of marriage, but how long have they been bailing out anyway? It's so hilarious. Now, like the man, like how long have you been writing, Cappy? 10, almost 20 years?
Well, with the blog, 20 odd years, 22 years.
And only now on the Substack am I seeing like female articles where it's like, well, did you know that there's reasons that men are bailing out of marriage? Where it's like, yeah, no shit. We kind of figured that out 20 years ago. Welcome to the party.
Because you guys we're all generally roughly the same age. Have you ever
let's not go that
I
way.
mean, it's a wide range, but we all have fathers, right? Jack, yours unfortunately passed away not too long ago. But did you guys ever convince your old man to do anything that was logical, commonsensical, in their best interests, or did you run into pure stubbornness?
Pure stubbornness.
Okay.
Yeah, my old man was stubborn.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive.
Oh, okay. You said was. I didn't know. Yeah, how much of this is a woman issue? Probably a fair amount. I wouldn't doubt it, but never discount pure human stubbornness. And it just takes people forever to realize that maybe what they thought for 25, 30, 40 years was wrong. And so now it truly is welcome to the party, pal, with women saying, oh my God, do you think men are human beings and they might have requirements? It's weird, you know?
Because where was it? Oh yeah, no wonder men are opting out. I'm still reading it, but she made a list of the modern woman, a prospectus. They are the most miserable, anxious, and insecure cohort in living memory. Hardly great marriage material. You put this in the book of numbers, right? Of like how many are on SSRIs, are in debt, get financial aid.
Oh yeah, all those traits, sure.
All those things, and it's like when I go on Twitter, and Nuke knows this as well because he gets into kerfuffles with them all the time. Plenty of men want to get married. It's not that men don't want to get married. It's like, who are they going to marry?
Yes. We're reaching every system has a limit. Nuke, you're probably very familiar with engineering. Like there's a mathematical physical limit to the sheer strength of this type of steel or whatever this furnace can handle. You're running into the hard limits where men simply can't afford, either through time, money, or to maintain their sanity, all three above. One, the pursuit of women, but certainly marriage. it just is not physically possible anymore. And once you hit that hard limit, like, hey, Aaron, let's go all in on a pontoon boat and rent it for the evening. Well, how much does it cost? It costs $100 per person. Well, I only have $93. I'm out. I can't. And I think people are starting to realize, men are like, no, we're not. This is physically, time-wise, mentally. It's not only is it, I could tolerate it, and then maybe no, I don't have it. There's not enough gas in the tank. So and now it's very slow, but the normies are slowly starting to catch up. Hey, wait a second. But it's glacially slow. The lady you're referencing who wrote it, I believe she's an Australian economist, maybe.
No, this is Bettina Arndt.
Okay, I think Australian.
ARNTT.
I think this is a woman, and people inform me that she's been writing about this for 20 years. But I think that's because she has a conscious philosophical interest in this. She has an initiating interest.
Yeah,
At
DM'd
best-
you the essay.
At best, the normies are at Scott Galloway level. That's how slow the normies are going. They are going as slow as molasses. And if Scott Galloway is he is the foremost independent-minded normie who's slowly starting to wake up. If he's their best after 20 years, I'm going to be dead, you're going to be dead, and Nuka's going to be dead before the rest of society says, wait, did you know men are half the population and they have some requirement? My God, oh my goodness. And then maybe they'll do something about it. But the entertainment is watching just how slow the rest of society comes along to, come up with the observation that maybe men don't want 50% of their money taxed. Maybe they want to get laid. Maybe they require hot, attractive women. It's going to be a long time before these epiphanies are part of the mainstream psyche.
Well, there's also a huge thing of the perception of marriage that men have versus what women have it, right? Because women see it more as a check
All right,
off.
stop.
Like
You do
children.
have an echo.
Okay. Hold up. Because I've been hearing that when you talk as well.
Is it me?
Maybe. Do you have headphones? Okay, let's try it now.
All right,
How's it now?
check.
I don't
So
hear the
you-
echo anymore.
It's the non-white guy. I knew it.
Ah,
I knew it was the non-white guy. It's always the non-white guy.
it's always the token guy. We invite him on. We get this.
This is what happens when we do affirmative action, Jack. This is what happens when we bring him on. Jesus Christ.
Crashing the plane.
What the
No,
hell? It's like a
but-
Disney movie now. Sorry, go on.
But you know this more than anybody else, where it's like the children are a checklist, and so is marriage, where men genuinely want to marry as in, no, I want to share my life with this person. I want to commit to this person, blah, 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 blah. For women, it's more like, no, I want to check the box. I want to put it on Facebook, put the ring there, show my girls I got a 20-carat, $30,000 ring, and
Mhm.
that's good enough. Now I can tap off turn the sex tap off, and that's now it. The whole reason for marriage differs so much between the sexes right now, which is where this gap comes from as well, I think.
Yeah, I yes, I think though at their core, women unknowingly deep want the same thing as men. They would like to have a quality man and children. They would like to be mothers. Modernly, they've been conditioned against that, and so I got to do current thing. I got to do popular thing, and they become
that-
much more consumerist in their approach to human relationships.
You know the
Uh,
chart, right? That
which one?
men have been very consistent when it comes to their politics through the years, and then you see the graph of women, which just skyrockets to communism, where it's like, oh, but men are being radicalized by people like Andrew Tate. It's like,
Right, but as far as what you can deal with in the here and now, what people are actually saying and the actions they're taking, yes, women are very disinterested in marriage and children. I mean, they're not against having a wedding, they're not against spitting out some kids, but the fuck if they want to be a wife and a mother. And so you definitely do see that. But going back to your original point, there has been such a low return on investment. There has been so little, if any, reciprocate. Generally speaking, some people, there are some good gals out there. Men as a group are just, this is no different than private equity funds, investors drying up for private equity. there's no rates of return. You're going to have investment drive for AI. There has to be a positive return on people's time and investment. And that includes relationships, not just stocks and bonds. And the largest investment typically is marriage. So now I think we could say people are starting to notice that there's something wrong. The engine is starting to make a little bit of a noise, but these girls are not going to go to the mechanic. They'll let that engine light flash forever until they're broken down on the side of the road. But it is nice to see, hey, some ain't right. Some ain't right. So I think that's where we're at now.
Finally, people are scratching their heads where it's like, hey, wait a minute, something's off. But this woman, I'll post a link in the chat later on as well. Most married women go off sex, and the husband who objects is seen as the problem. Many women don't actually like men very much. I mean, you pointed it out, Cappy, every day, every time. They've gone full throttle left. They've rigged the education system and colonized corporate and institutional life, turning university and workplaces into man-repellent factories. Yet their hypergamy, desire to marry up, not complete the description, but we'll leave that be, is still running hot. The modern female threat detection system is hyperactive. Almost any male behavior, silence, opinions, jokes, breathing gets flagged as a red flag. They're extremely well versed in the lucrative economics of divorce, including a well-timed false allegation to eliminate tedious, shared parenting. Wow, it's almost as if who has written about that 20 years ago? Multiple people on this panel have done so.
Were people alive 20 years ago?
Well, apparently.
I was 16 20 years ago.
I was there 3,000 years ago.
I was there, Gandalf. I was there. Well, women don't trust us anymore. Like, women trust us to build an infrastructure society. They trust us to fly planes, to operate power plants, to fix their cars, which if a man fucks up fixing your brakes, you die.
To facilitate the reality? Yes.
Yeah. And then, but
where does
me telling a woman, hey, don't eat that cake because it'll make you fat. She's like, what do you know? You know? So it's like,
what are you, a nutritionist?
Well,
yeah, are you a nutritionist? Yeah, but first off, I'm alive and I'm fit, so I know a little bit about being alive and being in shape. So I'm still alive. So I think I can tell you not to do certain things.
Well, everybody's the same. Not everybody can do.
Thyroid issue. Have you thought of a thyroid issue?
See,
calories.
It's not the same. You're a man.
What
you
about?
Guys are you're making fun of it, but I want to pat ourselves on the back because we did for the past 20 years. We made men have permission. We made them realize that they can realize and look at this nagging or whatever they complain and say, fuck this. I don't want to deal with this. Like, you don't go back 20, 25 years, man. Oh, that's just what women do. Oh, yes, dear. I'll do the dishes your way. Okay, dear. Well, I'd really, maybe we should go to the gym, that kind of shit. No. Now it's like, no, we're not dealing with it. Shut the men right now. That chart that you showed, Jack, men right now are realizing, hey, you're going to do what I say. It's not a majority. It's only a third, but men are like, I'm leading, you're following. Men are actually telling women to shut the fuck up now. And if you don't like it, hit the fucking road. It's a huge movement in the Overton's window. A lot we don't see because it's been so slow and gradual. But it's I don't want to necessarily. It's a movement in the right direction. It is, but more importantly, men are realizing I don't have to tolerate this behavior anymore.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to get into the tweets soon. Real quick, I want to shout out Callie for the $2 generous. Thank you very much, Callie. Play Smoke on the Waterfront. Rollo, you got the guitars in hand? We could play it.
I could plug them in if you want.
You know me. I'd be glad to do that. But I saw that you kind of got into some heat on Twitter for saying or asking, should women follow their husband?
Obey.
And,
obey.
Oh yeah.
It's like that word. They do not like that word. Turns out they don't like the word obey.
Before we move on, Jack, I'm going to pay you $100 if you just
I
put a
know.
book underneath that damn thing instead of giving us all a seizure right now.
Yeah. I'll figure it out. I'll just sit lower. My bad. My
I'd
bad.
rather watch you jerk off than this right now. Okay, continue on. Obey,
$100
bad
and all
word.
that.
Moving right
Obey
along.
is bad. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, but okay.
This is why I
New
get
studies
early.
show. Yeah. New studies show apparently a wife should obey her husband. Proportions to those who agree. For baby boomers, it's only 13% male and 6% female who agree with that. Gen X, 21% of men think that women should obey their husband. Only 30% of women. Millennials, almost 1/3 of men think so. 90% of women, and Gen Z, over 1/3 of men believe so, that women should obey their husbands, and only 80% of women. Yeah.
How much of that do you think is Andrew Tate's effect? Because he did skew younger.
True. I don't know. Maybe it's Andrew Wilson who influenced this one.
Well, it's not just one person, but I find it interesting. It kind of flatlines there with the women between millennials and Z, but then the young boys. And I'm not saying that's like, oh, great, Andrew Tate is the greatest spokesperson ever. But you can't deny his influence on younger people. And I'm wondering how much of the young boys are actually believe that, not knowing. Like, why should you? I got a question for the panel. Why should women obey their men? I have a very practical, functional reason why, but why should women obey their men?
Because we know
It
what's
saves
good
you-
for them.
It saves you money.
That too. Time.
Like, okay, so I brought up this question, and I'm sure Rolo's brought it up, and you guys have brought it up. Should women or should men? Do men owe women their protection? Right, which is a big one because guys always think, oh, like physically, like you get jumped in the street or a gun pulled on you, do you have to act? And I'm like, okay, if it's your wife, you're gonna spring into action. It's your genetics, right? But at the same time, what are we really protecting women from, right?
Themselves.
The Amazon boxes are still stacking up on the front porch, and she spent $400, and you're going broke as a family. But if you don't have the authority to tell your wife, hey, you're not spending that much money on stupid shit that you saw on Instagram, if she can't comply with you, then what's the point of being married? It's just self-destruction. That's what I'm saying. I always bring this up because if you don't have authority over your wife, right, what is the point? It's like you're just playing cleanup for this person that doesn't listen to you, and you're trying to tell them, hey, you don't need this. I can fix this for you. You don't need to buy a new one, or we don't actually need that. And instead of going to you for advice, she goes to TikTok. And then that's the problem. Then TikTok also consequently has a TikTok shop where they buy more stupid shit. And that's just the financial aspect. Guys are starting to figure this out because they're like, hey, I see my brother married or my dad got married, and the whole time, everything she broke or every financial shit she got us into, my dad had to pull us out. And I'm like, I don't want to sign up for that. I'd rather be divorced.
Nuke, I 100% agree with you because the assumption is that women are not responsible with their finances or logic or whatever. Let me pose another question to you. Let's say the woman is fiscally responsible. Let's say the woman does have her shit together. Why should women obey then?
Well,
Like she's still a good like she's all good, right? But like, why would she still obey even if
Right. There's such a boring fundamental reason. It's not controversial why women should follow.
I'm curious. Go.
Because it ain't gonna fucking work any other way. You need one lead, one follow. I saw this in ballroom dancing all the time. It's efficient. Sweetheart, we're getting this truck because we need this truck. Cool, babe. All right. It's not that you're a tyrant. It's not that you're like, I'm gonna teach this bitch and she's my slave. It's we don't have the time. Like Rolo, you've moved into a new house. Did you run it past your wife, every decision or every item that had to be made that was brought into that? No, you'd be 812 years old by the time you all figured it out. For the sake of time management and time efficiency, I will drop you off at you got your heels on. I'm dropping you off at the front door to the restaurant. Oh, no, I can walk. Shut the fuck up and get out of the goddamn car. We don't have time for this. And that's the fundamental reason where in any dynamic between two or more people, One has to lead, one has to follow, because you just don't have time. Of all the decisions you're going to make as a unit, not all of them are important. Like, should we have kids, or should we, where should we live? A lot of it is this mundane minor shit, which is why it's very minor. When I go out, or whatever, we go to Walmart or Menards with my woman, I'm like, you're either on my arm, or you're to my back right, or to my back left. You're not darting off. You're not running around. I don't have shit or time for you to get diverted by shiny bauble. We are here to get paper towels. We are here to get this. And then we are here to get the fuck out and go and then spend our time together and have as much free time. That's the main reason. And it's minor, but it's tremendously important when you don't have a lot of time or resources. I don't know, like maybe you got kids and a mortgage. That's why. That's the main reason why. And then a very close second, because I'm not discounting what Newt said, women are privileged. Men want to fuck them, and they're shielded from every harsh reality, and they never have to lift their own weight. Some do. I'm being painted with a very broad brush. And so now you run into things like responsibility. No, sweetheart, that man really doesn't want to help you. He's trying to fuck you. No, sweetheart, you don't need another shiny bauble because we're running low. That's a very other important secondary thing. But in defense of women, not every woman is just some money spending idiot who has no responsibility.
Are you sure about that? Not everyone.
They're rare. They're rare. Ask me how I know. Fiscally responsible women are very rare, and that's why you should hunt them down and value them when you find them. But it's just, I don't know if you guys ever had that where, I'll give you another example, although this would be more of the responsibility category. When I say we're leaving, Rolo, I say we're going for a hike at 6. What do I mean?
We're going for a hike at 6 a.m. Be there by 5:50.
Thank you very much. All right?
Wow.
My woman
you're early,
knows
you're
it.
late.
Yeah.
So Rolo will be there at 6:30.
No, Rolo
Won't be there at all.
does regular man time. Yeah. But I'm
Dominican. I do Hispanic time. I'll be there at 6:15. So
right. Well, that's why your
If we're
people
going-
are
if we're
poor.
going out-
5:45.
all I'm saying is the you need to be timing. I know it's boring. If everyone's on time, you're going to have like thrice the productivity. We're leaving at the latest by 6. Everybody should be ready by 5:55. The woman's ready at 5:55. Awesome. It's working. It's going. It's faster. You're saving time. You're saving money. You're not missing your plane. You're not missing your flight. You got the gal who's irresponsible and doesn't obey. You missed your flight. There's problems. There are arguments. You don't have. And here's another concept on top of it. Why the fuck should anyone tolerate anything less? Now you're babysitting. Now it's a pain in the ass. The older I get, you know what's really hot? A woman who has her own 401k and is on time and doesn't ask questions. I got an erection like longer than a tape measure. But it's because it just fucking works.
Show me your paperwork, baby.
I wrote this article on Twitter about why women are always late. And it was like, it was interesting because I kind of had to explore like why, like evolutionarily speaking, why would it be that like women would have a different kind of sense of time than guys would, right? Because honestly, I don't think, people will say, well, it's just because women are flighty and they're fickle and honestly, I don't think men and women share the same concept of time, of like passage of time. And that's why, like, there's things that are like that you can prioritize. Like, if a woman, for instance, if that woman has to be at a job interview, okay, she's gonna. There's some material benefit that's going to happen as a result of that. But there's a sort of a passage of time, I think, that in any other sense, if there's no urgency applied to like being at an appointment or something like that. I think women's sense of time is not the same. I think this is also cultural too, by the way, but I think our sense of time is like literally the way we conceive time, like how we perceive it is, linearly or when we're supposed to be somewhere. Honest to God, man, I think that there are like biological gender differences between men and women when it comes to the concept of time. And I wrote about it, and it was just, It was actually probably one of my better articles. I wish it would have been a little bit better read. But like 50,000 years ago, women sat around a fire, dried up the wood, cared for the offspring, and chatted with each other. The men, meanwhile, had to get up early and cross miles of differing landscapes to find the kill and the caribou and find their way back home without the benefit of maps. We had to evolve an inner clock to measure distance, direction, and time. As military people working, understanding GPS satellites. What is it? There's a thing is that GPS satellite sends out a signal like a bubble. Contained within that signal is the satellite's position and always very accurate at which time the signal was sent. The receiver knows where all the satellites are, correlates the time the signal was sent, and equally accurate clock with the receiver, and and with that information maps its position to an internal database. This is I was quoting Michael Sartain when I was doing this. So I started thinking about like how are like sort of like just going back to the triune mind theory, right? Which is where it's like there's instinct, emotion, and reason. And I was coming up with this really kind of interesting like experiment. I said, what if, because women never had to evolve to process time like guys do, they simply didn't, or they never did, or never had evolved an internal clock the same way that guys do, because men had to coordinate things differently because of hunter-gatherer societies, right? So you had to be able to coordinate where those guys were going to be so they could get the kill, do what they had to do, and get back to the tribe, right? Women didn't have to do that. They didn't have to have the same sort of like, I guess, syncopation that guys did. And I think that's one of the reasons why today, with like evolutionary gap and everything else, it's one of the reasons why guys get really super frustrated with women when it comes to like, well, why is she fucking late? Why does it take, an hour and 45 minutes to do your makeup? It doesn't. It actually doesn't. It's just, there's no concept of time right there because the urgency is not there. There's no need for syncopation unless it's something that's going to materially benefit her.
Would you also say it depends on how high she has the guy in her priority list?
Mm-hmm. That too.
Yeah, because I wanted to do
and even then she'll still be 5 minutes late because she doesn't want him to like think that she's like too, desperate or something like that.
Yeah, because I kind of wanted to do the exception to the norm argument where it's like, no, I know what he means because this is the beauty of all of this. We all know. We've all dated a woman who is like every time. But I know it's not really an argument and it doesn't disprove your point. I've also had women who were just early every time. I found the women who Cappy glorifies, It's like, they're on time. There's never an issue. There was one girl, she showed up late once. You know why? Because she burned her finger on the straightening iron. She's like, I had to take care of this. That's why I missed my train. I'm so sorry. I'm like, you know what? It's a legit reason.
Well, so the way I would explain that, Jack, is that men and women have innate natural proclivities, right? So, for instance, a little boy, a small child, like as small as like 5 years old, can still throw an object with more force and more accuracy and put his shoulder into it naturally than a little girl does. That's why we say, oh, you throw like a girl, right? Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean that you can't teach a girl to do that? No, you can, but it's easier to teach the boy to do that because he has actually a biological, psychological, innate understanding of how to do that, right? You don't have to teach him how to do that, but you can sort of modify that. But you can teach a little girl to be a good little league pitcher if you spend enough time with her and you sort of work that you get that muscle memory and everything else. It's kind of like learning how to drive or learning martial arts or something like that as well. There's an innate part of the male psyche that allows little boys to throw an object with more force and with more accuracy, but that doesn't mean you can't like override the lack of that natural proclivity in girls as well. So for instance, in this case, if women have a different concept of time and that's never been conditioned into them by their fathers or whoever else, a strong male leader that says, like my dad says, I'm sure everybody knows this stupid cliche, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're fucked, right? If you have a father, you got to do that, then maybe that sinks in and maybe you've got the rare case where the woman's like that. Go ahead.
So what you're saying is we have been able to condition women to hate men through feminism, we can also condition them to be the fuck on time.
You could.
Yes.
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 And that's
And
kind of
it-
the argument Rolo is making, where it's like, look, you're dealing with two very different biological settings.
Mhm.
And it's not like, oh, women are bad for this. No, women are just different because of that. And now we make jokes about it because
Mhm.
that's the beautiful part. We can be a little bit misogynistic.
We got a
But
good
there's-
example right here. Moff is driving his car right now while he's listening to this. He is multitasking while he is doing this. Do you realize all of the things he has to synchronize just to be driving along, listening to me?
Better use those turn signals.
And he's got the mic muted, and he's got to watch so he doesn't get into an accident. Guess what? The human animal never evolved to do exactly what Moff is doing.
I'd be impressed if Moff had a woman nagging him
We
right now.
actually can learn because we have like multiple skills that kind of coalesce together so that he can do that. But you still got to learn it and you still got to condition it.
Well, and especially with women, you just got to be aware where it's like, look, and Cappy, you're going to love this. You actually have to train your
Oh,
woman
absolute, 100%.
because of these things where it's like,
You get-
because men and women aren't the same.
Do you guys remember Walter E. Williams? He was an economist who used to sub for Rush Limbaugh. He passed away about 5,
Oh,
10 years
that
ago.
guy.
Yeah, he'd always start in, man, let me tell you how to train your wives. And he's just this old classic. He was a genius, actually, but he was very charming. Absolutely. But I think that's the thing is men are starting to realize this concept. Women are not. Look, who should have trained your wife? Who
Father.
really should have? Huh?
Her father.
The father should have. We got these ballless pussies known as American fathers, Minnesota fathers, who just scared of their own shadow.
Minnesota fathers.
Oh, they're yeah.
they're Somali?
Huh?
So they're
Somalian
Somali?
fathers?
No, those actually might raise their daughters. I'm talking your cowardly suburbanite, those type of Minnesota fathers. You know the
Yeah,
type.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You have to train these women, and young men are starting to realize they have to. Like the concept. Imagine the reason Walter E. Williams said, "Men, let me tell you how to train your wives," is because he knew it would provoke people 25 years ago on the Rush Limbaugh show, even conservatives. Now men are like, "Oh no, we do." Like we do. And it's not, it doesn't even have to be a bad conversation, but it's like, this is where you got to hand it to Vince over at Masculine Geek. Did he ever tell you about his egg timer rule?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Yeah, he's got an egg timer. Girl comes over, and every woman thinks that everything that comes out of their mouth is gold, and blah 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 blah. blah. He's like, sets it for 2 minutes. Like, you got 2 minutes to tell me all your boring shit at work. In the meantime, after that, it's either fun talk, sexy talk, or if you're capable of it, intellectual, philosophical talk. But I don't care about your problems or your life. And men are starting to realize that's real. That's the biggest advancement in this whole thing. Men are starting to realize women, like the concept, women should obey.
Well, I had that conversation with my best friend where he had to teach her that, no, you can't always get what you want. And no, I will not chase after you when you are displaying behavior that is just not to my liking. I want you, but I'm not gonna enable you. I'm just not going to do it. And she was huffing and puffing and stomping her feet. And at a certain point, they broke up because he just wasn't chasing her. She's like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? I'm like, nothing. Like, it was her dad's job to fix that shit. And no offense, if that's not going to happen, then Watson, you're going to have to raise them because you're practically being handed over a child. He's like, I don't got time for that.
I'll simplify it even more. Every man has the right to have a woman that is not a liability. That is not a chore.
Yep.
Why would you introduce, why do we all hang out aside from our financial? The reason why we all hang out is because we enjoy each other's company. And even Rolo adds a positive net benefit to our lives. Even though he doesn't go hiking, it is possible to be an added net positive benefit. Because men want to get laid, they ignore that calculus and they will suffer and pay a tremendous price. And it's starting to get to realize young men are having the epiphany. If you're not going to tangibly improve my life, why would I have you around?
Or be
And this
open
is why-
to it.
This is why I say, like, everyone's like, oh, men are afraid of divorce. Men are not really afraid of divorce anymore. What they're really afraid of is like marrying a woman that sucks because divorce is a thing that comes and goes, right? And a lot of guys report saving more money after the divorce because women just spend on nothing. And now at least he has more control over expenses, which is crazy. after being divorced, right? But really, men are like, why? I have my hobbies, I have my friends, I have my job, I have my routines, I have my gym, I have my trips, I have my 401k. Everything is squeaky clean. I'm 35. Everything is down pat. I did everything I was supposed to do. How will a woman coming into my life improve this system that I built for myself? And it's even harder if the guy gets laid regularly, right? So if you get laid regularly as well, like maybe you have a spinning plates or you have a girl that you just see once in a while, you're just like, now I have to have a woman that comes into my house, bleeds once a month, fills the trash can with bloody stuff, showers, uses 4 towels, leaves a mess around, and doesn't know how to cook as good as me. And you're just like, why are the traditional conservatives selling this to me so hard? Like, can someone sell this to me where it benefits the man and somebody tells me, yeah, dude, this is awesome because you get this? No, it's just like, you're supposed to do it. So the reason I asked the question, do you owe women a better life? Do you owe women protection? Is because a lot of men have this belief that they're born out of the womb owing women something, whether it be commitment, protection, whatever. And when guys figure out that they owe women nothing, and women will give you stuff like sex and affection for nearly nothing, they start thinking, wow, I don't have to have a woman in my life. I owe no woman anything, and I'm happy.
I know, right? You don't owe people anything. Moff, I haven't heard from you in a while. Welcome, man. How have you been?
What's going on, guys? Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me. And I'm on the road, but I try to chime in where I can.
Well, good to see you. So, Moff, a little bit of a loaded question. Should women obey their husbands?
I mean, yeah, ideally. There is, it's hard to say I think everything's incumbent on the man, right? I think a lot of guys, they look at their wives or they look at marriage as maybe like it's a covert contract where it's because she's my wife, she's expected to do this. It is a bit of a loaded question, isn't it? I mean, I would expect her to, sure, but I think it's incumbent on every guy to run his marriage and run his woman like he sees fit. And I've, obviously been sitting back listening for the last couple of minutes, and I totally agree with what Cappy was saying as far as, there's decisions that need to be made. And it's the only way that it works is have the guy leading the 50-50 conversation, or he leads when it's this, or I lead when it's this at stake. It's like, no, like he needs to be the leader in any and all given situations, because that's the only way that it's going to work for the both of you long term. And it's the only natural way that actually makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of women push back on this so much because we're talking about it overtly, but most leadership is very subtle, in all honesty, because you'll see women default to their man's authority, but it's that authority that is not pushed in your face. It's like some guys, or most women even, when they hear oh, men should lead, they think it's with an iron fist, where it's like, no, it's not even that. It's like Rolo's famous story about the makeup of $100 or something, where his wife called him.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that one, where it's like, hey, is it okay if I spend this money? Where it's like, well, it's a totally normal question.
Every chick. So I was working in the casinos, and most of the advertising and marketing department were female. I think I was one of 3 guys in that department of a dozen women. And at one point, my wife called me up when we were in the cafeteria or something like that, having lunch, and they were, of course, eavesdropping on my conversation, and they were like, "What was that all about?" I go, "Well, my wife just wanted to ask me if she could spend $100 on Mary Kay," and they're like, "How dare you? She should be able to spend money on whatever she wants." And I'm just like, that's not how this works. I'm still married, and all you bitches have been divorced twice already. So I think I'm doing pretty good. Thanks. So we'll keep going the way we are.
But that alone, your wife defaulting authority to you, was such a foreign concept.
Even think about it. Why is it? What's the problem here? No, I think one of the things that's funny right now is I'm going to probably write about this because I've been doing a lot of social experiments. If you follow me on Twitter, I like to fuck with people, right? But it has a point to it. There's actually a purpose to my fuckery. I'm trying to do these little social experiments, such as I'll do a one line tweet, right? Should women obey their husbands, right? What do you think? First thing out of anybody's mouth. Well, in the Christian religion, I didn't say Christian religion.
It's always an asterisk. There's always an asterisk.
I didn't say
Yes,
Muslims. I
asterisk.
didn't say Hindus. I didn't say the Sikhs. I didn't say the Scientologists. I just said, should wives obey their husbands? No, we have to always add something to it because there always has to be, and usually it's from a religious perspective. The Bible says that women are supposed to submit to their. I did not ask you that. I just simply said, was as a point of fact, pragmatically speaking, using my best Aaron Clary inflections, should they obey? And it's just a practical. It's practicality. It's not morality. It's not,
It's not sexy.
It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not. And that's the thing that gets them and then so we add on to that. So my follow-up question, like the following week, after everybody lost their fucking minds over that, I'm like, I threw out the proposition that women don't actually want their wives don't actually want their husbands to lead in the marriage. And people, yeah, we do. We need a dominance. So I think, no, you don't, because by every indication, everything has to have some little caveat to it. And then I thought about this for a second. I said, if the wife gets to determine whether the husband is a leader based on like what he does or based on what she's the one that says whether he gets to be a leader or not, she's the fucking leader. She's the one that actually is the one who's making those decisions.
Topping from the bottom.
Yeah, topping from the bottom. I actually thank you for bringing that up because I'm probably going to revise that. I have a essay called Topping from the Bottom that covers exactly this from back in 2015, right? And I thought about that and I go, especially in religious sets right now, women don't want their man to lead. They want that guy to enable them. They want that husband to enable their lives. They want them to facilitate their lives. They want the protection. They want the provisioning. They want the parental investment, but they do not want that man to get to the point where he is actually the one who is the sole arbiter of what and where they're going. And so I dug up some old infographics that I had laying around and just basically said, look, over the course of a family's lifetime, wives will make 90% of the decisions or the personal decisions or the whatever decisions that affect the family over the course of that family. And I went and picked up, and I used this in my book on religion, right? The stats for it. So I was coming back to that and I go, clearly the statistics say, the data says women don't want men to lead because they're already leading. So what they want is they want a guy who's a patsy. Christian, especially like a Christian. Maybe we're talking about tradcons here because they're the ones who are the
one of Michael Knowles.
Most.
They want a Michael Knowles.
Exactly.
Dave Ramsey.
They want a patsy. They want a fall guy. They don't want. They want him to think he's leading, and then when things go sideways, they want that guy to go, well, he wasn't doing enough. He wasn't making me happy. He wasn't living a godly lifestyle. He was doing something. There had to be some thing in the mix because it couldn't be her fault. So she's the one who's topping from the bottom, right? She wants to have a patsy. She wants to have a fall guy. She wants to have an enabler, but she does not want a guy to lead. And I'm showing this in black and white with statistics and just basic logic. And people just want to claw my fucking eyes out for that because they really are want that dominance, and they really want. I think that's interesting because, as Nuke was saying, I think there's a need, and maybe Cappy was saying this too. I think there's a human evolved need for men to be the primary in that relationship because men have, over the course of, in our ancestral past and evolutionary, speaking, men are the ones who had to protect that woman. Women are the vulnerable sex. That's why women seek out long-term security. They're more risk averse than guys are. Men are more men will take chances, right? That's part of masculinity, is running into a burning building to save the baby or maybe die in a fiery crash or something like that. But men will do that. Women, I think the sense of self-preservation for women is way, way more strong than it is for men. And
women aren't selfless? Wait, whoa, wait a sir.
But so when I'm
Groundbreaking.
what I'm getting at here is that I think that there's a natural or an innate sort of like hierarchy here because men have. I mean, I got to dig this up. I think I'll see if I can do it here in just a second. But I've got this this list of all the things that are all the factors, physical factors that correlate, I should say, with men being human males being evolved for combat. For taking, like we have tougher chin, tougher jaws. Our blood is. I'm trying to remember some of these. Our blood is holds more oxygen than women's.
Denser bones. Denser bones.
Bones. And so while women's biologies are really meant for reproduction. Wider hips to pass the baby through, right? So there's all these biological differences. And by the way, when Steve Stewart Williams' book comes out, and just coming up in a few days, it's coming out in June, which is 1 billion years of sex differences, it is going to absolutely destroy so many people's concepts. And it's just going to be there, black and white, nothing but stats. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is going to be a disruptor for the month of June. So, but anyways, I just going to say is like, I think that they're like speaking from Cappy's perspective, there's always going to be a want for male dominance. There's always going to be a want for, how what the meme is where the rear view mirror is like right next to the wall. Domestic violence or how
rough she likes it.
Really likes it. How rough she really likes it. That's biological, man. That's evolutionary. It's something that women get off on because that dominance was in our evolutionary past something that was a cue for survivability. They wanted a sexy sons theory. I want my sons to be able to be as badass as this guy is, so I'm going to breed with this guy. And what are the cues of that? Physical prowess, dominance, lower voice, indicators of testosterone, broader shoulders, V-taper. Those are the physical signs. And then, of course, there's the personality and the psychological traits that go along with that. And in some cases, that might be dark triad traits. Well, guess what? Women find those irresistibly attractive. I know this is news for everybody here, but the fact that women like, let's just say violent pornography, seek out violent pornography.
I love it when they fight you on that. It's like men are porn brained. It's like
I just had this conversation last night. You guys have heard of Dr. Deborah So, right?
Yeah.
She's like the dragon lady, man. She's oddly attractive. I don't know why, but she's got this book out called Sextinction, and Mike is insisting that I read it, so I guess I have to read it now. But part of that, she was having this conversation, I think it was with Chris Williamson, and they were talking about sexual choking, right? And like why women enjoy and by an order of magnitude, women want to be choked during sex.
Real quick,
asphyxiated. I mean, like held by the neck kind of thing. And I don't know if you guys, so you guys aren't in.
Hold it, Rollo. I just looked her up. Oh yeah, I'd hold her by her neck.
Oh yeah,
she. What do you mean? She's sort of attractive.
I got the weirdest boner right now.
Oh,
real quick question to the panel though: who taught you that choking was okay during sex? Just asking.
Well,
I saw it in a spicy video, and the girls moaned when they did it. So I'm like, let me try it
No
out.
offense, but a woman taught me that. It's like, do that.
Because so here's the funny thing is, so Dr. Deborah So, of course, it can't just be women have to be blameless in all of this. They can't just want to be choked, right? So what she's saying is the reason why sexual choking is so popular amongst women is because of male pornography. And women are watching pornography more, and they see that in male pornography. And so now they think that that's something that they have to do. And I'm like, no, as far as every survey that has been taken about this, women want that to happen to them. So it's not about like being coerced or being conditioned by sort of mainstream pornography, but the message, the breadcrumbs that we're supposed to follow is, well, women like to be choked, but it's only because those bad men taught them that they would want to be choked, right? Like they're brainwashing, gaslighting, guys through pornography to want to be choked. And they're like, not according to like 50 Shades of Grey. right? Not according to what is it, Morning Glory Milking Farm. You know? I mean, if you look at all of the popular media in this, as far as sexualized popular media for women, it's all about minotaurs, man. It's all about fucking
We have dinosaurs now.
bestiality. You know, it's crazy.
There's dinosaurs now, so it's like we're past mammals now. We moved on.
And you know what's funny is like I remember when I published The Rational Male back in 2013. People were looking it up, and one of the most popular books at that time was "Come for Me, Bigfoot."
Oh yeah, Sasquatch porn. I remember.
I don't want to know. Why did I have to? Why is that?
I read this article about the chick was actually who wrote it was almost embarrassed of it because she was making $30,000 a month off of
month.
Me, Bigfoot. Yes.
Why am I ready?
What are we doing, Rolo? We're doing it wrong.
What are we all like?
Right.
What is this? Why did I do this?
I wonder why I write under a pseudonym.
Giant Tortoise Sex. That's my new book coming out. The Tortoise Who Fucked a Lot. And
You will go platinum. You will go platinum. Yep. Yeah, but anyways, I honestly, I think that there is this innate desire on the part of women to want a guy to be the dominant, the dom. But in any human relationship, even in homosexual relationships, there's a dom and there's a sub, right? There's the feminine, the guy, there's the bull dyke, and then there's the fem dyke, right? And then there's the twink, and there's the bear. Right, those are the doms and the subs. Right, it's just how human beings fucking
it's
do.
Electricity. You need
for fuck's sake, you know.
Positive and a negative. You will not have current. It does not work otherwise.
Mm-hmm. There's no such thing as an egalitarian relationship. Show me an egalitarian relationship, and I will show you a relationship where that woman runs everything.
I'll go call Scott Galloway right now, then, and have him contact you.
Please, I would love nothing more.
May I introduce a very important aspect here in the aim of fairness?
Go ahead.
So all of this is hinged on one incredibly important thing. And a lot of people say women got to choose the right man. But if a man is going to lead effectively, he has to be honorable and have integrity. He can't just be this abusive guy who, takes money from her and has baby help me out with rent and steps out on all that. That's an incredibly important distinction to make because it all falls apart. If you have somebody who is malicious and just uses that person as a slave or takes advantage of them, that's bad. Again, your father should have taught you how to identify this man. But all of this presumes that you guys are leading the relationship with her interests also in mind. Not what she says she wants, but her actual interests. Like, hey, sweetheart, we're going to have financial discipline because, well, we don't want to file for bankruptcy. Hey, sweetheart, why don't you go get yourself a degree in accounting so you are not sucking dick at the truck stop in order to make ends meet? There's a responsibility on men to actually be good, ethical, honorable men for the sake of the family, for the sake of the relationship. But beyond that, if you are that guy, I would strongly encourage men to develop the mentality to understand that you have every right then to be the leader and tell her to shut the fuck up because you don't have time for this shit.
Well,
so, I mean, once you like, I get a kick, and this comes to, I'll give you a petty example how this plays out. I don't like how you're doing the dishes. Get the fuck out of here. I'm a responsible man doing the dishes. That right there, I know it at men's unconscious level, it drives them mad, and you may not be able to know why. That's because she is not going to let you lead, and it's going to be a fight on every grain of sand and microscopic decisions. Like, dude, the dishes are going to get done. I know it sounds, well, why are you parking here? Like, oh my God. And so that's going to be just a combative shrew that you're going to have to tame or maybe not want to tame. But the idea that if you are a good leader, you got your finances together, you clean your house, you should be able to say, hey, my house, my time, my commitment, my rules.
Well, I think a big thing here as well is with leading. You lead. You do not ask for permission to lead. You lead. And I think that's also why it's a bit of a loaded question, because what you're doing is you're asking women like, hey, does your husband have permission to lead? And then it's like, well, and I remember Nuke putting something like that on Twitter too, where it's like the whole leading thing is not about a question. And of course they're going to fight you back on it, but leading just happens. What women have a problem with, though, these days is learning how to follow. I mean, we've all had shower arguments, right? Where you like think back on an argument you had and you're like, I should have said that.
I know you're having that conversation again in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've had one woman had the gall to be like, well, you're supposed to lead. And like ever since then, I think back on it because I wasn't quick enough to say, then learn how to fucking follow. Because that's what it all comes down to. It's like, you want people to lead, then learn how to fucking follow. But
that's what I tried. I tried to make that as like black and white as I could, because I love it. Like when I've been talking about leadership, it's like, it's such a bullshit concept right now. I mean, it's not that I don't think that men should lead. It's not that I don't think that they should be the dominant ones. And the problem is spelling out what exactly leadership is from a very practical, pragmatic perspective, right? If you are a leader, that implies a fucking hierarchy. Right? We're not all going to be leaders right here. And it's not fucking participation trophy, hey, you're a leader and you're a leader and you're a leader and you're the leader. That's fucking egalitarian bullshit is what that is. No, leadership implies a hierarchy. There is the chain of command, man. You're the admiral, you're the general, you're the major, you're the sergeant, you're all the way down to the private, right? You're the CEO, the CFO, all the way down to the fucking janitor. If you want, ladies, if you want your husbands to lead in the marriage, understand one thing: you're subordinate to him. The children are subordinate to him. Your mom who maybe lives, she's subordinate to that guy. If you want him to lead, guess what? That means everything else. It's not based on, well, if he does this and he does that, then I'll let him lead. Guess what? If that's your mentality, you're the leader. You're already you're putting yourself at the top.
It comes with requirements, right? Where it's like, it's like, go ahead, Nuke.
I asked this question and on Twitter the other day: if the pastor and your husband disagree, who do you listen to?
Ooh, who's the leader?
And yeah, I got some interesting. I'll find it. It was like 2 weeks ago. I asked that a week ago.
Would you remember what they said?
Well, a lot of people said depends on what, and I'm like, okay, that's not leadership, right? Because it's like I thought it was God, husband, wife, child, but in reality, it's wife, child, husband, or husband's on the bottom. Yeah. And the thing is too, like, I don't know I'm sure you guys have been in charge of people at a job or for a gig or military, wherever your background is, and if there is nothing more annoying that slows down the project, the mission, or anything than just having one person, just one, even the lowest guy, not listen to you. Leaders in the military, 10% of their energy is spent on guys that are competent and snap to and do what they say, and the other 90% is on the one or two guys that just don't follow, that don't show up to work on time. Yeah, and I know because there was a guy that he was a problem child, right? And I was trying to like be a big brother to the guy, and I would tell him, hey, clean the stairs and this hallway, just clean it. Right, here's a broom, here's a dustpan, and here's some chemicals. Clean, 30 minutes, easy. And I would go check on him, and he couldn't even, like, it was just so easy, but he could not follow orders. Like, he just couldn't. Like, he had something in his brain that every time someone told him something, he just couldn't do it. Like, I guess it's like genetics sometimes, where some women just cannot. You tell them, hey, do this, and they just can't. They cry, they shed tears, they pace around, they have anxiety, they do 10 things, but they just cannot just do it. Maybe it's genetic, but even in
my father used to call them B players. His greatest annoyance, I will never forget that, where he was like agitated and everything. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, I can't win a war with B players. I can't win a war with B players. Why do I have to explain the simplest things over and over and over again? Cappy, you have a question.
No, I just have a point.
Okay.
Don't ever let them get, well, I'm just too stupid, or I'm just a girl. You know how you get people to do things? Violence, yelling and screaming, and the threat of violence.
I do not condone this.
Every dude, it's just lazy people. Whether it's the kid who doesn't want to, sweep the hallway, or the girl who can't be on time, there has to be. It's called negative conditioning. Rollo will. There's positive conditioning and negative conditioning, and it's the carrot and the stick. Everybody is all about the carrot. Hey, No, the carrot never works. The stick always does. And every time it came down to where I got not violent, but I got enraged, or there was cost now, like I'm leaving. Or one time I will pick you up at this time. She wasn't ready. I just drove off. All of a sudden they're contacting you. All of a sudden they know. They all know. It's just you do not provide them an excuse. Here is the standard. You will meet the standard. If you don't meet the standard, well, yelling and screaming will get you places, but just removing yourself from the situation, that's usually what does it. But yeah, this whole, I don't want to, yes, women are different. Yes, evolution. I like Rollo's concept of women have different
weaponized competence.
Well, yeah,
weaponized
but there's woman time, and well, guess what? The real world, and my watch says there is real time. I guarantee you, they will be on time if you just and there will be consequence. There will be hell to pay if you don't. And then
enforcement almost. Wow.
What's that?
Boundary enforcement. Sounds
yes.
like that.
Yeah.
And you realize Ryan isn't here. We just had a whole show where Ryan said carrots, not sticks, and here you are.
No, Ryan is he's Canadian. He's a nice guy. The Canadians are like, more carrots. Those emaciated northern snow carrots. But I like big, large American sticks, and I've had more success with that.
Someone clip that. Someone clip that.
I think it was Robert Greene. I think it was in 48 Laws of Power, or maybe it was Mastery or something like that. So people really don't make personal changes unless they are threatened by violence, unless they are they stand to lose their lives, or they are at they're at rock bottom. Right, they got nothing left to lose. That's when people actually make personal change. And I hate to say it, but that's when religious people sort of pick up on that. And also, it's also when guys who are questioning everything they've ever knew about the intersexual dynamics, and they find the red pill. Right, you have to be brought down to zero. You have to be brought to a point where you're willing to sort of say, you know what, maybe everything I thought before was bullshit, or I'm starting to see the code in the matrix, right? And that usually comes at a point of either absolute zero, or it's a imminent threat to your existence of some sorts. Inspiration grows from the barrel of a gun. And I do understand what Cappy's saying, but this is me, Rollo, the behavioral psychologist, which is really what my background is in, not evolutionary psychology. But as you were saying before, there's positive reinforcement and there's negative reinforcement. And then there's punishment, and then there's reward. Those are all separate concepts, right? So the negative reinforcement is you don't get any positive strokes or anything like that for undesired behavior, right? If you're trying to get a woman to behave, or it could be your dog, right? Because we use behaviorism for training animals all the time, right? So there is, when the rat presses the lever, and a pellet pops out. If it pops out every single time, well, that's consistent reinforcement. The quickest way to make a woman miserable, of course, is to give her everything she wants. So she presses the lever and out pops the pellet, right? Then there's intermittent reinforcement, and that makes a much stronger impression or imprint on the mind. So if the rat presses the lever and it doesn't come out immediately, and it presses it three or four more times, and then it pops out. Oh, okay. And then twice, okay, it comes out. 5 times, and it comes out. Once, it comes out. It's just it's sporadic. You don't know when it's going to come out. That creates a stronger association with that particular behavior, right? Then you've got punishment, which is, of course, the stick, which is every time you do something that is undesired behavior, and that is punishment, right? And then there's also reward. Every time you do something that is desired behavior, you give me a really good blowjob, but you're getting flowers the next day. That's reward, right? It could also be positive reinforcement, but it's a reward for desired behavior. And if you think that I'm being a manipulative bastard by even bringing this up, guess what? Your wife and your girlfriends do exactly the same thing, and nobody says jack shit about it, right? When a woman turns off the pussy, what's the pussy? The pussy's the reward. You guys are just Pavlov's dogs, man. Ding, ding, ding. Here's the pussy. It's pussy time.
We all like to be manipulated. We just want to be manipulated in the way we like. Like, I don't want a girl to say, "Hey, we need new curtains," and just nag me about it. I want her to give me a blowjob, make me a steak, and give me a back rub. And then the next morning she say, "I love new curtains." I'll be like, you know what? You got a point.
They do look old.
The way
You're right. Those are horrible curtains.
way out of that. So
Yeah.
the way out of that vicious cycle is to understand when you're being conditioned, right? When you're being, and that's so like when Cappy was saying, I'm not going to sit here and wait for the reward of the pussy. I'm going to go find pussy somewhere else. Right? Because I'm the primary. I'm the one who's making the decisions here. So it comes back to what I talked about. Like, I have this in my Reignite book. It's
Guys, I gotta go. So I'll see you later.
Cappy. Good to see you.
But in like mental point
First
of
book
origin,
as well, by the way. That pussy ain't made of gold, bitch.
well, the thing is like, if you are in a state of scarcity, then the pussy is, you don't want to rock the boat, man. You don't want to do anything that like impedes the flow of the pussy, right? And so guys get into a situation where they are not the leaders. The woman is the leader because the woman is doing what's called operant conditioning on the guy, right? So when guys like say, well, my wife only has sex with me, when I get a big paycheck or I could get her flowers or I do something like that, that's Pavlovian response is what that is. She's
Transactional.
Yeah, and nobody says, Jack, when it's a woman that does it, it seems prudent. Well, of course they do. She's just trying to make you a better man. If the guy does that and says, you know what, I'm not getting laid, I'm going to go initiate novel behavior and go out to Zook or Hakkasan or something and find me the hottest bitch I can, right? Mm-hmm. That's not ethical. That's not approved, right? But it's okay for the woman to like drip feed sex to you as a reward. Or we're just looking at the difference in context between what behaviors or what manipulations are acceptable and which are not. Female manipulations are acceptable. Male manipulations are never, are rarely, if ever, acceptable. So like when we talk about, like Jack, when we talk about dread, when we talk about competition anxiety, just me bringing that up and exposing that for what it is. I'm not even saying I could just eliminate all this bullshit about like dread game and all this stuff. I just talk about the dynamic itself, and people will go, that Rollo is a very evil Machiavellian man.
How dare he?
How dare he? Because I'm exposing the game. I'm showing you the mechanics of the game, and that's just in doing that. That's anti-woman because men need to be ignorant of that. Because it's a form of it's power, right? It's a form of control. It's soft power, it's covert power, but it's still a form of power. And so when you educate guys about stuff like that, it's taking that power away. Now they'll never make that connection, viscerally or logically, but the reason why it feels wrong to them is because it eliminates a form of control for them. So when we're looking at Pavlovian response, we're looking at punishment and reward, when we're looking at positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, these are shit that like women just know innately. It's just like, if I do this, then he'll do what I will. If I suck his dick on Saturday, he won't be so mad when I get a mani-pedi on Sunday, that kind of stuff.
But that was the whole problem with the red pill in the first place, right? Where it's like men taking the power back, where it's like, yeah, no, wait a minute. It's making men figuring out that they're being conditioned on a societal level, and they can't have that.
It's not even taking power back. It's exposing the machinations. Like it's exposing the process and educating guys. And you could decide this. You still want to play along if you want, but now you know better. And that's the problem. I think a lot of female power is based on male ignorance. You educate a guy.
Yep.
I think it was Ed Lattimore before he like lost his mind. Once told me, he says the red pill is like teaching slaves to read.
Yeah, they don't.
What it is.
They don't want us to know the game, because then we could take advantage of it.
Man, they just want us to play. Speaking of playing, I want to get through these super chats real quick because Tibby's been waiting. Inquisitor Tibby with the generous 10. Thank you very much, Tibby. Appreciate it. There we go. Inquisitor Tibby with that generous $10. Thank you so much, Tibby. Quick weigh in. I'm currently 209 pounds, 70% body fat. My basic metabolic rate went from 2,103 calories to 2,076. It really is as simple as watch what you eat in calories in versus calories out. Yeah. No, it really is, Tibby. It really is.
How tall is he?
Hmm?
How tall is this guy?
How tall are you, Tibby? I don't know. Wait. I don't
It's one thing to be 17% body fat and 209 pounds at 5'7", and have the same stats at 6'1".
That is true. That is true. Maybe Tibby has told me and I forgot. Sorry, Tibby. But yeah, no, depending on your but I mean, you're losing weight. So
Good
that's
for
a
you.
good
Yeah, bravo. Props, brother. Props.
that is a good thing. Then Tibby again with the generous 5. Thanks, Tibby. There we go. Inquisitive Tibby with the 5. Let's not also forget the study that explained that higher levels of testosterone correlates to a man's lower tolerance to society's bullshit. Can you imagine Cappy's testosterone level? Holy shit.
I know. I don't think he's on TRT, but put him on TRT and he'll be like the emperor.
Become super Cappy. Yeah, it becomes
He's
super
been
Cappy.
on TRT. I mean, he's been open about that, but I will never forget. Like 1 week, he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm on TRT. I'm trying it." And then 2 weeks later, "Yeah, I got off of it." I'm like, "Wait, you just quit?" He's like, "Yeah, just stop doing it." It's like, I don't think you're supposed to do it like that. He's like, "I don't give a shit."
Now, you know what's funny is I was reading some of these some recent articles about how when a guy gets into a relationship where he's becomes a father, his T levels naturally drop. I don't think that that's any shock. But did you know that your balls actually shrink too? Like your testicles actually shrink when you are when you become a father, or when guys who are there's a correlation between guys who are like sort of good dads, like providers and sort of the beta bucks kind of guy, and testicle size. I don't know how they went about doing that survey, and I'm not asking questions, but apparently your balls shrink up when you become a father. Just saying.
Wow. How
Yes.
many kids does Matt Walsh have?
Well, that's one of the like Mike Sartain said this. He says I don't know how accurate this is, but maybe it will. But he keeps saying that like in the future they're going to ban TRT because they can't have guys feeling good about anything.
Would not be surprised. I mean, I've had this conversation live back and forth with my chat where it's like, why? Because I'm not a huge fan of any performance enhancing drugs except TRT, where I'm like, you know what? I think TRT is a very normal, healthy thing. Where it's like the hypocrisy that bothers me about the whole conversation is we can have female hormones off the counter at the drugstore. The pill is female hormones. Yet when a man wants to increase his hormone levels, all of society gets their panties in a bunch. It's like, no, it should be accessible.
They don't want us to bypass their hypergamous filter. You know, they want losers to stay losers and
winners to be winners. Yes.
Yeah.
They don't want to be well, that's funny you should say that, because I've talked about this before. That's the existential fear of human females, is to breed with a guy who she thought was an alpha, and then later, tricked you. I'm actually a beta, right? And now you have
soundboard.
Gotcha. Yeah, I do have it somewhere. There you go.
Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah, that's essentially, that's one of the reasons why grape is so offensive and so invasive and such a horrific crime for women, is because the idea is that you're taking hypergamous choice away from that woman, right? You're taking away her sexual selectivity. You want to know why was it The Handmaid's Tale is so we love it. Like what are they in the 6th season now? I think it's 6th or 7th season. Have they ended that yet? I don't think they've ended that.
I don't know. And you can tell me that isn't a grape fantasy.
But it is, but it's also a female revenge fantasy, and revenge fantasies are always based on taking back hypergamous sexual selectivity. Because in the premise of the entire show is they live in this fictionalized world called Gilead, right? And all the women are forced to have babies for the party, for the men there. Like they're forced to have children of not of their choosing with men of not of their choosing, right? They're forced. That's why all the chicks in the red frocks and the flying nun hair, things, whatever habits. They look like nuns' habits. That's the basic premise: is that the women of Gilead are supposed to, like by law or by religious doctrine or decree or whatever, are supposed to have children for men that they don't choose. You want to know why? Was it pre-arranged marriages are so offensive for women? Because you're taking away hypergamous choice.
They still have those here in Georgia.
It's tantamount to grape is what it is. It's anything that even like consent, like when we talk about consent, retroactive consent. Well, I had sex with him back then, but now I'm feeling kind of bad about having sex with that guy. So I didn't actually, I'm taking back consent retroactively. The reason why that makes sense to women is because it pricks, it prompts, it stimulates that indignation about having sex with somebody that you didn't want to have sex with, even if it's retroactive, right? That's how you get the retroactive consent. Yes means yes, no means no, that kind of stuff. But the idea that anyone would take away, and this is I think anyways, this is a sort of a biological evolutionary aspect of female psyche, but we're more hyper aware of it now because we have the pill. Mm-hmm. So if a woman can have sex with whoever she wants to without relatively free of worries about pregnancy, who does she go for? She goes for the chads, man. She goes for the 9s and 10s. She doesn't want to have sex with somebody that she doesn't want to have sex with. So therefore, the old regulated sexual marketplace that put women as a sort of dependent upon men for their long-term security, that flies out the window now because women don't need that. They don't have to worry about getting pregnant, so they can go fuck who they want to. And who do they fuck? The guys up the hypergamous scale.
But what's your take on birth control affecting women's hormonal attraction?
So
do you know what I mean? Yeah,
two things. There's the Marty Hazelton take on this, and then there's the more modern take. Marty Hazelton accounted for this, by the way, when if you've ever read the book Hormonal by Marty Hazelton, it basically is a summary of all like 25 years of her. She was a research evolutionary psychologist. She studied under Dr. Buss. Everybody drink. And she, for 25 years at UCLA, I don't know, I think she's probably retired now, but she basically did these studies that proved more or less ovulatory shift. That's, of course, the bugbear for everybody wants to find ways to disprove all that shit right now because it's so politically inconvenient for psychology departments, which are like 85, 90% female right now. But from what she was talking about, they did account for hormonal birth control in a lot of their research. Okay. And so essentially her take is that it doesn't necessarily mean that you are like a woman is going to select a different kind of guy per the kind of hormonal birth control she's taking. But what it does is it suppresses the already existing, like the luteal phase, the menstrual phase, like the intensity, let's just say, of a desire to want to get with a guy during her fertile phase and her proliferative phase versus the luteal phase afterwards. And what it does is it depresses it down. So that's one take. The more popular take right now is, and there's really not a lot of support for this, but I understand why it's popular, is that women who are on birth control, when they go off, they want to get with a different kind of guy. And so the idea is that they might have been attracted to this weesh dude who was, a good provider, and he has like a circular face instead of an angular jawline or whatever. He has more feminine features, which makes sense because what does hormonal birth control do to a woman's body? It tricks it into believing that it's always in the luteal phase, that it's already pregnant. And so what does that do? The idea anyways is that if a woman is constantly in the luteal phase, she's only going to be after guys who are like soft and caring and kind and generous and have the circular face and have more feminine features, and they don't want the masculine guy, which is complete horseshit, because if you live in Vegas, there's plenty of women here on birth control who want to fuck the bodybuilders. But the idea anyways is that as soon as that woman goes off because she wants to have a baby with this guy, she doesn't want to fuck him anymore because now her natural hormones come back and it reasserts her natural cycle. And so she's more hot for Jason Momoa or Alan Richson during her proliferative phase than she was for the guy that she was constantly in a luteal phase for when she was on hormonal birth control. So those are the takes. I lean more towards Marty Hazelton because I can speak from experience, right? Women being on birth control still want to get with a masculine guy. They still want to fuck that guy, even whether they're on birth control or they're not. Whether that affects the way that woman feels about it later on is kind of immaterial, I think. I have read reports from, was it Rolf Dengen was talking about there's no correlation or no effect for like sexual preferences while women are on hormonal birth control. However, they do account for this. When a woman is on hormonal birth control, her libido is lower. When they go off of it, her libido goes higher. That's that part I would probably agree. I think is probably accurate. But honestly, I think the Hazelton approach or the Hazelton observations are probably more accurate because they were done in a time before everything went woke.
Have you ever read Your Brain on Birth Control?
I have not read that one, no. But I do understand. I understand all the chemical things that go on and how it fucks up women and it makes them crazy and everything else.
I remember reading that book and I found it hilarious that on page left, on your left page, you had all the stats, all the data where it's like, yeah, no, it's actually bad. And then on the very next page, the cognitive dissonance of like, well, here's why all these bad things are actually good. Where it's like, you can't be serious. I remember going with Cappy through that book. Real quick, Tibby for another 5. By the way, Tibby answered he's 6'3". So
you're good. You're good. All
He's
you
in
got
good shape.
you just got to get down to like 14% body fat and just drop another 3 and you're fucking golden.
And he's golden. But we have Tibby for another 5. Thank you very much, Tibby. Women are as good or as bad as men allow them to be.
I never liked that quote. I never really liked it.
Really? Why not?
Because first off, there's just women that are never going to be good, regardless of how awesome you are or how good your leadership is,
Well, and that's kind of the point of the quote where it's like women will be as shitty as you let them, where it's like, well, don't let them leave. Like you're not going to change her, but I understand your gripe with it because it kind of sounds like you're making it out to be like, oh, just be more awesome and she'll change. Where it's like,
it sounds virtuous. It's virtue signaling is what it is.
Yeah, where it's like, no, if she's shitty towards you, then leave. You're allowing her to be shitty to you because you're staying. Leave.
Yeah, you can drop 100 pounds. Yeah. You can drop 100 pounds, get promoted at work, be a better father, all these things within a marriage, and the girl will still try to drag you down sometimes, just like, well, hey, can you stop doing this? And she'd be like, well, you can't leave me because we're married. So it's like, I'm not allowing anything. I don't know. I just feel like, hey, woman's, like, how we say the relationship is her problem, right? She's got to know, at least she's got to know that if other women could have you, they would. So there's the, competition anxiety. And also, I don't need you, right? So your days are, because women innately know what they do is, there's a comedian, right? He said, women do this thing where at first they like that you're so independent and your own man, and then 5 years into the relationship, they will put your car keys somewhere or organize the house in a way where you can't find anything and you always have to ask her where things are. It's like they create a dependence loop, right? And what I say is, this is just a way for men to be dependent on women's behavior, on them being right or wrong, right? It's just like, hey, I'm going to do this and you're going to do that. Go ahead and do it. And you being on your worst behavior is not a reflection of me when I have my stuff together, when I have my shit together. That's what I want to say, right? Like you're not a failure as a man if you are like that guy that just posted his stats and you're, on the up and up in life and you're hitting your stride in life. You're not a failure of a man if your wife doesn't get on the program. See what I'm saying?
Stay plan is the same as the go plan.
The thing I always say when I love it when this comes up, because what it does is it just defers responsibility back onto the guy. It's responsibility without authority, right? So at what point does a woman does she have agency or does she not have agency?
Oh, the big question.
That's what it boils
Oh
down
boy,
to.
here we
So
go.
That's what it boils down to. So it's like, so if you say women are as good or as bad as men will allow them to be, okay, that statement right there says women don't have agency. Men have to do their thinking for them. Men have to make their decisions for them. Men have to hold them by the hand and walk them through the shadow of the valley of death, right? A man has to take responsibility for his woman, right? Okay, well, do I have the authority in that? So human males only have agency. Is that what you're saying? Because the thing is that like Nuke was saying, like you can make all these wonderful, great improvements and everything like that, or you can, as you suggested, just simply walk away to do the MGTOW walk.
That's not how I sound.
Walk away. Wow. You can play Pantera while you do it.
Yep.
So you can walk away, but does that, well, will that woman, why are you walking away? I've learned something new from you. Thank you for walking away. Thank you for teaching me something. Do you think that woman's behavior is going to change by you walking away? Do you think her behavior is still as bad or as good before you left as when you left afterwards? So it's not, you're not changing anything. So at some point you have to accept the fact that women actually have some form of agency. They have to be able to make choices for themselves, right? And if you want to say that, well, guess what? Now women are also have to bear some sort of responsibility for their own fucking actions, right?
Nothing teaches you quicker than a baby.
How much agency do you have and how much do you not have? So when people say that to me, like, I love it, it usually comes up in topics of like pornography. Well, if men were better, women would be better. No, they wouldn't. Are you fucking kidding me? It's like you're trying to change the aspects of the machine. Like sex is always going to be a big deal for guys. Whether it's if it wasn't pornography, it's going to be something else. It'll be the strip club. It'll be like, hey, maybe I want to see my wife more sexual because, well, I don't have the outlet of pornography anymore. I can't go to the strip clubs anymore. You know what you're going to have to do, ladies? You're going to have to fuck your husbands if that's the case. But the thing is that guy becoming better, that guy like imposing his will upon that woman right there. She still has to submit. She still has to make the choice, have the agency to choose to do better, right? So it's like, it sounds like sophistry. I understand that it's this circular fucking logic, but it like statements like this are like unfalsifiable. It always comes back to the man's responsibility. Same thing. Remember when we were talking just a minute ago about Dr. Deborah Soh, when she's talking about like choking and stuff like that? It can never be that women just like to be fucking choked, right? It's no evil men conditioned and taught those women to enjoy it, and it's really bad, and it's a horrible practice, and they could be asphyxiated, and there's a high risk sexual behavior of some sort, but it's because of evil men creating pornography, and therefore these poor virginic innocent women who are just like these blank slates, just had no preference and didn't really know that they were, they would never have otherwise preferred to be choked or have dominant men or read 50 Shades of Grey or any of this other stuff. It would have never naturally occurred to them. I'm like, yeah, but you do realize a woman wrote 50 Shades of Grey, right? Like those, there's never any fucking responsibility, because we can always go back and say, well, women are as bad as or good as men allow them to be, right? Same thing with the choking thing. Well, if you evil men hadn't like conditioned women or taught women to like choking, then they wouldn't like choking. No, they would. That's just it.
Well, I saw a video today on Twitter of like, let's be honest here about OnlyFans. If men didn't demand it, women wouldn't do it. Where it's like, it's not how that works.
Chicken or the egg.
Chicken or the egg.
Here's something really ironic. Okay, so sexual choking, I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. It probably it's a new thing, right? Let's just say from the last 10 years. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if Dr. Deborah Soh was correct in that it is pornography that is teaching women to like sexual choking, right? How come it is that women don't like anal sex more? Because that's been going on since the 70s, man. How come they're not like just demanding anal sex all the time, right? No, they don't. But they do like the choking aspect. So there's something innately attractive and arousing to women about that choking thing. So by Deborah Soh's logic, women should just be like demanding anal sex from their partners all the time, and that's not the case, right? So why is choking more of why is there a more of a desire to be choked than to actually take it in the ass, right?
It's like I
Shows
asked
dominance.
who.
Mhm.
Well, it's like
Dominance.
I asked who taught you that women are into choking. Again,
Women. And the
yep.
thing is, even if so, a lot of guys will say, "Okay, well, I'm gonna choke my girl. I'm gonna choke this girl," and then they do, and they do it correctly. You know, you choke like you're holding a phone, not like you're trying to
Holding the-
push your windpipe.
It's the
And
thumb.
a lot of times, the girl will be like, after sex, maybe a day later, she'll be like, "Hey, we got to talk about this thing that you did. I'm not sure I like it." And then they'll have sex again, and then she'll demand it, and then she'll go back to, "I'm not sure about this choking thing," and then you'll have sex again, and then she'll demand it, or she'll be like, "Choke me." And then it's just girls don't understand their own mind, their own sexuality. They think, "Oh, choking is for sluts. I would never like that." But in the bedroom, they're like, they demand it. And guys get confused. And I'm like, just watch what they do. Stop listening because they're gonna run cover for themselves. Women's uh second favorite thing in the world is to be sluts, and number one is to be sluts and no one knowing or finding out.
Yep, it's that cognitive dissonance that goes on their mind
Yeah.
in their mind where it's like, what did I just do? I can't have him think I'm a slut. No, I need to convince him I'm not. And then in the heat of the
No, I'm
moment,
not that kind of girl. I don't like this choking
oh,
thing. But then in the heat of the moment, they're less like, yeah, choke me, please.
yeah,
Like,
please
choke me.
harder, harder,
Harder,
daddy.
yeah.
With all of that in mind, does it follow that women are as good or as bad as men allow them to be? No. Women are still have their natural innate proclivities. Do women have agency? Yes. Should they be like, what's funny is if you agree with this line, then you should just we should just tell Myron and Fresh and Access Vegas and whatever podcast, you guys trying to hold women accountable. It doesn't matter because they don't have any agency.
Well, that I do agree with.
That is just like throw it away. It's
Well,
pointless.
that is a part I do agree with where it's like women don't care about the opinion of men they're not fucking. They literally don't. So, and I've said this before, and maybe I'm gonna die on this hill today here. But when I see anybody holding a girl accountable on a panel, I'm like, this is never gonna happen. You are nothing to her, and you can tell her everything you want. You can tell her the sky is blue. If that girl is convinced the sky is green, you who are a stranger to her ain't gonna change that. Now, I don't disagree with you that women don't have it or that women have agency. They do. They absolutely do. But where I do agree with this line is where it's like, well, bad behavior is you invite that in, is how I always interpreted that quote. And trust me, nothing will teach you women won't change their shitty behavior for you quicker than a borderliner because they won't. You can walk away from them, they will chase you, and you will feel their wrath. Where it's like,
there's still, give her an inch, she'll take you a mile, right? That's still there. That doesn't.
Well, that's the thing about like the married red pill guys, right? They talk about like, hey, when you're in a bad marriage or whatever, the first thing you do is you kind of like go to the gym, you kind of like fix yourself because you're trying to find out, is she bad because of me or is she bad because she's just bad? And once you separate that variable, and the way you get confirmation is you get in shape, you do better in life, whatever you need to do, and then you go out to the coffee shop and the girl giggles when you flirt with her, and you're like, wait a minute. Is maybe my wife is the one that sucks because this girl likes me and other women like me, and the guys figure out, oh, I've separated the variable and be like, I was shitty, I got my shit together, but she did it. So
like I said, nothing.
now
will
you
do
got
that
your
quicker.
answer.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, nothing will do that quicker to you than a borderliner where it's like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't me. I can't fix this shit. Speaking of fixing, Lee Silver for the 5. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Lee Silver for the generous 5. Thank you very much, sir. Regarding negative conditioning, be mindful with being consistent. Lots of guys raised with parents that didn't do this become promise keepers. What do you mean, as in like people who don't do the negative conditioning consistently of like when negative behavior shows up, then you get the promise keepers? Oh, go ahead.
Promise keepers are the guys that who they're usually the sons of single mothers.
Yeah. No, I know what they are. I just don't know what he means in this context.
Let's see. What does it say? Lots of guys raised with parents that didn't do was it mindful of being consistent. Well, I mean, I don't know if that would necessarily turn them into a promise keeper. Promise keepers end up becoming the way they are is because they believe that their goal is to protect mom. right? It's almost like an Oedipal complex, right? To protect mom from it. And then they realized that dad wasn't actually an asshole. Dad was just responding to his natural impulses, right? Or dad was just, he was in an unsustainable situation with mom. And maybe he's not actually the asshole that mom made him out to be. But the thing is they go through this sort of internal conflict when the guy gets to be about 23 and he knows he doesn't want to stay with the chick that he's with. But by breaking up with this girl, he becomes like his dad. Because that's the promise, right? I promise you, mom, I will never be like my asshole dad. And then he becomes his asshole dad at 25 when he's forced into the same decisions that asshole dad had to make back then, right? And so that's where that conflict comes from. But I mean, as far as conditioning, like negative conditioning is concerned, I think I guess I kind of understand where he's going, but it would be the parent. It would be the single parent. Probably usually single mothers are the ones that are doing this. But it's that the negative conditioning. I think maybe he's referring to the fact that mom badmouths dad. Your dad left us. It's a parental alienation. That's what it comes down to is. Oh. And so the guy takes it to heart. And so his that kid at 15, 16 years old, when he makes that promise, when he decides he's going to protect mom and he's going to protect women, he becomes this really kind of, white knight all of a sudden. They can very blue pill, but can be the most annoying motherfucker in the world. But the thing is, at some point he has to, he will run into the conflict of having to make a decision for himself or to keep his promise. And what's ironic is then that he has to discover that it's actually the same choices that his dad had to make.
Okay. Yeah, Lee adds on to it, overdoing it, as in whenever a parent can't control their emotions and lash out at the kid. Oh, yeah, when you start doing it for the sake of doing it instead of actually having somebody doing something negative that needs the conditioning.
Right.
I think that's what he means. But, okay. Yeah, no, makes sense. Makes sense. Now we got Project Elathina for the generous $9.99. Thank you very much, Project. Good stream, fellas, for the $9.99. Thank you very much, sir. Gotta do family stuff later. Yeah, man, family goes first. Family goes before being a misogynist online. But there was something about the agency thing that I wanted to bring up. Oh, yeah. Speaking of single mothers, this is a tale as old as time. This was like my introduction to the Red Pill by Stefan Molyneux. I remember him having those call-in shows of like, I know. But I'm going through a good thing with this, where every now and then a guy would call in and just blah, blah, blah. Yeah, my dad this, my dad that. And then he would just ask them, so who chose to have kids with your dad? And all of a sudden this guy goes like, yeah, but no, your mom chose to have kids with what you call an unforgivable asshole. It's like, you think your mom might have agency for that? And these conversations would go for hours of this guy trying to like gaslit Stefan into like, no, my mom's great and this and that. Yeah, okay, she makes great cupcakes, but she still chose your dad. There is responsibility and agency to the side of the mother.
Yeah, there's still
he's doing something. And he's doing something right. If he can get your mom to have his baby, he's doing something right. And that's the thing guys don't understand about the Promise Keepers is that, yeah, your dad was an asshole. But if your dad was known as the town player and you want to get girls.
Was it Ryan or was it like Vince from Asking the Geek who says your grandmother still spread for sailors?
Oh, that's Nick August.
That's Nick August. Yeah, that's Nick. But that's the guys like they pedestalize their mothers like, oh, my mom was an angel and she was the victim. I'm like, your mom fell to your dad's game. Your mom forgave your dad for all his bullshit. Don't you want the same thing? No, I want to be a better man. And I'm like, what does better mean? Better for who? Better is such a container word. Like my dad was kind of an asshole to my mom. And I see these guys that are like these trad cons that are going through these fucked up divorces, like these super public messed up divorces. And I just found out another one got divorced too. Another one who I'll tell you guys off stream. But
okay.
The thing is, my parents are still married, and my dad still teases my mom and makes fun of her. But my mom is still obsessed with my dad. They send me selfies every other day through WhatsApp or something. So I could be like, no, I got to be more like Matt Walsh or like these other guys that are traditional and stayed by their kids and did everything right and respect their women, where I could just look at my dad and be like, what did my dad do right? My dad still has genuine desire for my mother. And every time I call my mom, you know how I know? I call my mom and the first thing she says is, call your dad. He's had a long week. He wants to hear from you. She doesn't say, well, my week was tough. She always defaults to call your dad. Don't forget to call your dad. Okay. And I'm like, that's genuine desire, because she looks up to him with admiration, not to like glaze my parents too much, but wouldn't you as a guy want to like look at that and be like, yeah, dad was an asshole growing up, but my mom is still into my dad. What did he do right?
Yeah.
Mm.
That's what gets. I think that's what gets a lot of guys, or a lot of certainly trad cons about me. They don't. That's why they don't know what to do with me, because I'm still very much in love. We're coming up on 30 years, and in July 20th it'll be 30 years. And I still enjoy knocking it out with my wife all the time. I get that it's great.
Hey,
man.
now.
I love having sex with my wife, right? But the thing is but Nuke's correct too. It's like when you have a really good relationship and you have a really good marriage, it reflects on everybody else around you too. So that's where, you're the couple with a really good marriage, right? Or like my daughter, it took a little while because she was so used to us just being mom and dad, right? But then when she started dating and then she got married, right, she had this new appreciation for the fact that like we're like, we fuck like rabbits. We love being with each other. We love, doing shit together. It's like, yeah, great. You're out of the house now. That's awesome, right? But then also I'm still in pretty good shape. I'm certainly in the top, at least 5% of guys in my demographic. I do what I do. I'm surrounded by beautiful women, at least on a weekly basis, right? And we still have a really strong, good relationship. So imagine me trying to explain that to somebody like fucking Michael Knowles or Matt Walsh or any of these other guys. That's why they'll never get on those shows. But there is a positivity that comes from having a good, solid relationship that like rubs off on your kids, because they'll say, I want something like what my mom and my dad had, right? I want something that's what I've seen it modeled. It's still there being modeled for me right now, and I'm an adult, right? And then they'll show that. Then they show that to your friends. Like I know my daughter's girlfriends say the same thing. It's like, your parents are really into each other. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is she doing the whole "you're
cringe,
embarrassing me" thing, Dad? Or
Yeah,
not
not anymore. She used to, like when she was in her teens and her early to mid teens it was, but then I think she began to realize that like she had something that like all of her friends' parents are divorced. Like all of her, for the greater part, I'm sure maybe one or two aren't, but for the majority of them, they're divorced. They're
My
still
dad wrote a book. Give it to your dad.
Yeah, exactly. Your dad is this guy, or like what really throws them off is like, it's like when I was talking about this last night. I keep having to repeat myself about this because in light of the Louis Theroux Manosphere documentary and how the red pill is sort of getting this, it's always had a stink to it, but it's how now everybody wants to tell you what they think about it. Everybody has an opinion on the red pill all of a sudden. But if I go and I say, look, I've been in a marriage I've been with my wife for over 30 years now, but coming up on 30 years, still very much in love. We're still very much.
How long did it take before you got married anyway? 2 years?
About a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it for close to a year, like 8 months, 9 months before we got married. And then, yeah, so maybe I should probably tell that story on my anniversary. Maybe I will. But
Which one? Don't give us a suspense.
no,
Don't do that.
how I met my wife and how like what led up to everything. But everything was analog back then. We didn't have dating apps. We didn't have, we barely had the internet back then. But the thing is like, I don't think people are willing to accept the fact that I attribute a very significant portion of the success of my marriage to understanding intersexual dynamics. It's not hard. It's how I apply it. Right. I don't rule my wife with an iron fist. Remember you just brought up that story about like me around, sitting around the table and my wife called me up to see if she could spend $100 on Mary Kay. Right.
Yeah. I don't know why, but that story always stuck with me.
It wasn't Rollo Tomasi then. I was just me. And that's just how it worked. Right. And So that's that, you know, I was having that conflict with people as when was that, 2002, I think. I wasn't, you know, maybe I was on the SoSwap forums at that point, but like I was not who I was then. And I was still applying those principles and not everything that I was, you know, I just went with what worked, man.
There's also a story about a coffee spoon that stuck with me. I don't know why. It was one of your greatest agitations. I don't know why that stuck with me. It's like,
okay, so maybe somebody can relate to this, but whenever, like, so we have this one, no, we've always had this, but we have this one common area right here where we have, like, it's the coffee station. I've got my espresso machine. I love coffee, right? It's caffeine and stress is my diet. Okay. So I'm making I make coffee every single morning. Right. And then, my wife has this really annoying habit where she's you know, stirs with a spoon and stuff, and then she takes a spoon and it's just plays nothing. My wife, in any other context, she is like the most like obsessively compulsive like cleaner. Like she cleans everything has to be disinfected except for the fucking coffee spoon. And I don't use a coffee spoon because I drink my coffee black, right? So she has to, you know, put creamer or whatever, you know, froth it, whatever the fuck it is, right?
Sprinkles the side of the universe
right there. And then I realized when my daughter started drinking coffee, she did the same fucking thing. And then I thought about this, and then I realized my mother-in-law, who also lives with us, does the same fucking thing. And then I realized, well, my mom was still alive. My mom used to do exactly the same thing. Leave that goddamn spoon on there. I'm like, is this like, are you guys fucking with me? Like, is this something? But then I realized I don't know what it is, but it's maybe it's particular to the female mindset. I don't know why. And I wonder
you
if
mean to tell me that in 20 years of writing red pill stuff, you haven't figured out what it was till this day.
There's got to be like I could probably retcon a reason. I could probably like, oh, that's just so reason. Yeah, it would be because that's the only thing I got left.
Well,
right?
Back in the day, you didn't have coffee in the tribe, so they're not used to using a spoon, you know, when they drink.
Well, you know, we have like these innate like fears of spiders and snakes, right? Like women like don't like bugs. You know, if a moth is flying around, kill the moth. You know. But the spoon is okay, you know. Women have a better sense of smell than guys. I don't know if you know that.
No, I knew that.
Yeah, women have a better
yeah.
smell than guys do, and it makes sense because women will have to be more sensitive to pathogens because that might kill the baby, right? Yeah, there you go. Well, yeah, that's why you put on perfume or cologne or whatever, right? Women are more sensitive to smells. I think it triggers more memories, or they have more emotional associations with smells, right? It's funny. We'll be out in the back patio, and like the people who are like across from us over here, they'll be smoking weed. I don't smell the weed. My wife's like, "Oh my god, they're at it again!" Like what? I just don't have the same sense of smell that she does. But I think women tend to by and large, on average, tend to obsess more about like cleanliness, cleaning. And I love it when like women think that there's something inherently wrong with guys because they can't smell the same stuff that women do, or they think that there's something wrong with guys because they don't clean the same way that women do. Unless, of course, you go and you look at their sink and there's just like this clusterfuck of cosmetics and all this other stuff on there.
You guys see that viral tweet where it was like, you guys, the women not realize that our sinks never clog when you live alone as a man?
It's true.
Well, it's ironic that they're so like they are the so-called more cleaner sex, because I think everybody on this panel has been to a female dorm room.
Oh yeah. Or like what's that meme where it's like they show the picture of the girl's like sink and it's got like all the cosmetics and all the products and everything, and then she gets mad at you for like leaving the toilet seat. What?
There's so much stuff. Though, not gonna lie, my like, you know, dressoir as we call it, it's kind of full of like skincare shit as well. But yeah, no, not as bad as I've seen women have it.
Clutter is a bad thing in my house unless it's on my wife's sink. Then it's okay.
I like to call it ordned chaos.
Yeah.
I know exactly where everything is. It might look like a mess to somebody else, but I know exactly where.
That's what throws me off about the whole spoon thing. Is I don't know where that comes from. It's a mystery.
At this point, it's not even the spoon anymore. It's like, why? Like, what innate Like evolutionary behavior caused this. I need to know.
If I ever meet Dr. David Buss in person, that'll be the first question I ask. Okay, it's the coffee spoon. What? Tell me about the coffee spoon.
Moff, you have any of these stories? You've been quiet.
I'm sure I've got a few. What, in terms of women being messy?
Yeah, go ahead.
Or overly clean. Yeah.
Well, I had a girl one time where, and I'm sure you guys have run into this before, where they'll purposely leave their apartment messy if they're going out on a date with you. They go, I left it messy because I wanted to basically ensure that I wasn't going to bring you back, and then she ends up bringing you back anyway, and it's just the worst pigsty tornado that you've ever seen. And they're just like, they blindfold you on the way into the apartment so you don't see everything. But yeah, like, women are slobs, man. Like, it's rough. But you know, that's, I don't know if you guys have run into anything like that before. They're like, oh, they'll wear certain underwear, or they'll dress a certain way, or they'll leave their apartment really dirty because they don't want you to see it, but they end up bringing you back anyway. It's always very funny to me.
It's every time, man. No, my apartment's a mess. We can't go to mine. It's like, sure. I have learned, by the way, if she's wearing matching underwear, it wasn't your decision to have sex.
Yeah.
That's also one I learned.
Oh no, what was it? No, Sterling Cooper says if she shows up with like the hair scrunchie around her arm, you're getting fucking laid that night.
Never even noticed that, in all honesty, but now that you mention it.
And I'm like, oh, that is a tell. That is most definitely a tell.
Oh God. Yeah. What do you guys say we wrap this one up? I think we kind of beat this topic to death. Yes. What have you guys got going on? Nice show, by the way, you did yesterday with Mike. I was in the chat, and okay, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know the girl. This is not a jab on her. Like, I'm not dissing her or anything. But I did find it. The irony was not lost on me that the woman with the least amount of clothing was giving clothing advice to me.
Emily, yeah, Selena. Yeah.
Somebody in the chat went after her, and she's like, "Well, fuck you." Blah blah. I'm like, "Well, not gonna lie, the irony is not lost on me."
She likes it. Okay, so
I noticed.
Porn name is Selena Slay. She actually does porn too. So just saying, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess OnlyFans style porn, right? If you go to her Twitter, if you look, just go to look at you do it. Okay, you don't. I didn't tell you to do this, so if you have a porn problem, but if you go and you look up Selena Slay on X, you will most definitely find her and understand exactly what she's about. But she's been on Access Vegas probably 6 or 7 times, and she's a good friend of me and Mike's, more Mike than anybody else. I'm fairly certain he's had 3 ways with her. But she's actually a pretty cool chick. She's actually a fairly smart girl too, but nobody gets past the tits, right? But yeah, she's pretty cool, but she does like to fight, and that's the thing. She likes the conflict. So she loves the chat. She'll be the first one to respond to the chat too. Just because I have tits doesn't mean I'm stupid. Like, okay, game on. But no, she's actually a really cool chick. She's fun to hang out. She's when we're at Babes in Toyland, if she's around, I gotta try to stand next to her because then these other girls would come after you because of it. But she's actually pretty cool. But anyways,
no. I don't doubt that, but I did think that was funny. But it's like,
yeah, she's awesome. I actually like her quite a bit. But I think we brought her on initially because that chick, that crazy klepto chick that we've been talking, she's been in the news recently. What's her name? It's not Shoshana. She says so many aliases, right? But she'd been on the show, and I guess she's being arraigned for something right now. But I had no idea that one of the guys that she was ripping off actually proposed to her, and he's like a CEO of some corporation or something like that. And so the story that Mike, I don't know, maybe I came in late, but the story that he wasn't telling was that after we had done the Danza Project podcast in Miami 2 weeks ago, he got a call from ABC because the time difference and everything. But he got a call from ABC, and they wanted quotes from him because they were doing this documentary of some sort of like series on this girl, right? She's basically the Tinder swindler, but like gender swapped, right? Mm-hmm. And they wanted to ask him about if he knew about this guy who I guess was supposedly wanted to marry her, but the guy was also trying to get an injunction against her arraignment because he wanted to stop the criminal like trial of it. And he was one of the guys who was he's one of the guys implicated in the case, right? So here's this guy trying to basically, if not like get the case thrown out, then to make sure that she doesn't take the stand. And it was like, what is this, like John Grisham novel? Like, this is Lincoln Lawyer. And basically trying to make sure that she doesn't go on to talk. And I'm like, man, so they're asking Mike, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Probably because he has a lot to lose if she goes up there and she starts talking about that, right? So that kind of prompted that conversation. And then we played that little clip from ABC. And Selena actually happened to be there. She was sitting right next to this girl on that night when we got robbed by her. It was our election night. It was in November. It was November 5th, 2024. And so I can't believe that story is still going now, like 2 years later. But that's why we had Selena on initially. But she fought back. She was feisty last night. That was good. But anyways, Mike's starting to do more live streams. He kind of just does them whenever. He doesn't have like a set schedule. So he'll call me up and says, hey, let's do a live stream. And I know I'm in for 2 fucking hours, right? So we did this one live stream for close to 4 hours with these guys from the Untouchables. I don't know it's a couple of black dudes who get a panel show together. They hit me up, and I think they were trying to like put me on the spot, like to ambush me. But the thing is like all the girls on it agreed with me. And then I told Mike, I said, hey, if you want to come on and hang out, then do. And they were overjoyed to have both of us on there because all it did was just build their brand. So we were on there for a while, and then we took about 15, 20 minutes off, and then we went and jumped over to Mike's stream, and then we went for another like 2 hours, 2.5 hours after that. So I have done 2 back-to-back shows yesterday. All I did yesterday was podcast. But it was good. It was fun. It's a good conversation. It's up. All those are up right now if anybody wants to see those. Tomorrow I'll be on my show, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on The Rational Male. I'll probably be talking about leadership again. I've got some other things that I might go. I know this is the hot topic, but everybody's talking shit about Patrick Bet-David right now. And I think I have the best qualifications to talk about that because I've worked with the guy personally, and I have worked with Adam Sosnick and Jedediah Bila and all the rest of these guys. So I think I might chime in, throw my hat in the ring for Patrick Bet-David. He's also in hot water right now for supporting a Ponzi scheme that was contributing to his Vault series or whatever, something like that. I don't really care too much about that. I just wanted to talk about why he's getting into trying to be like, Uncle Pat to tell you about how guys ought to be dating. And I thought that was kind of ironic. I know MLD did something about it, and I think maybe even Rich Cooper's done something about it. So I might be arriving to the party a little late, but I don't think they have the same perspective I do because I actually know Pat. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. We don't have Access Vegas this week, but we will on the next week because we have Babes in Toyland in Los Angeles coming up this week on, I think it's Wednesday or Thursday. And so then we'll be doing Access Vegas after that. I don't know if everybody knows this. We had the guys from ABC Australia come in to the show on the last Access Vegas, and everybody said, don't do it. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am cautiously optimistic about the how this is going to turn out. We had a really interesting interview at Roll and Smoke Barbecue with these guys from Australia. The guy's name, the host's name is Mark Fennell, and he is most definitely not a Louis Theroux. He wasn't trying to get us with anything. He wasn't trying to, raise his eyebrows or be some, goofy Mr. Bean shit. Right. But at the end of it, we were at Roll and Smoke. Because Mike and I know the managers at Roll and Smoke because that's where we go all the time. So we had the back room sort of reserved, and right before we were just about done with the interview, we had there's a couple this lady with like fuchsia hair and her boyfriend, and they just like raised their voice and just like screamed at us. They're like, "You guys are a bunch of fucking incels," and they made a big ass stink on their way out of the restaurant. And her boyfriend was like, "What, you got to bring all these cameras in here because you don't have your own podcast studio?" It took every fiber of my being to go, not to go, "Sir, do you know who I am?" But our first response was like, hey, come and sit down. We'd be more than happy to talk, have a conversation with you. And they just like stormed out. Right. That incident right there will most definitely make it into the final cut of whatever the series is or the documentary. I can hardly wait to see it. And then we had him in for the show itself, and I tried to get it so that we could have Mark Fennell be the male guest, because we usually have like Moff's been one of the male guests on Access Vegas and Spencer too, but we usually have one male guest, and because of the network legalities, he couldn't actually be billed as a guest because they needed him to be impartial, but he was still part of the show, and he still brought up a lot of questions and stuff, and it was a pretty feisty ass show. So I'm kind of hoping that actually makes it into the final cut as well. But I think we did pretty fucking good with this guy, so I feel fairly confident. I know 2 weeks from now when it comes out and they really fuck us, I'm gonna be like, oh god, why didn't I see that, right? But I don't think so. I think the guy actually was really like had some sort of like genuine interest in what we were doing, because I don't think we were like anybody else he had interviewed up to that point. So I feel pretty good about that. But one thing I have coming up as soon is the hardback version of The Rational Male will be coming out this week. So just
nice.
Keep an eye. It's already approved. I just have to go put it up and make sure that it's up for sale and everything. All the legalities are ready to go. So hardback's there. If the hardback version sells well, I'm going to do the hardback of all the rest of them. So there's already a hardback of Reignite on Amazon. It's actually my first hardback book that I've ever produced. So I like it.
Now you gotta have the rest as well. Now you gotta have them. Nuke, what do you got going on?
Book is at the editor. I'm looking at maybe a mid-June release. Follow the Substack.
Nice. Moff, what have you got going on?
Not much for me. I've strayed away and out of the dating stuff for a little while, and I'm just starting to kind of ramp that back up. So if anybody wants to go follow my Instagram and dating channel, it's just at Navigating Modern Dating on Instagram and YouTube. And I'm going to start having some content up on there in the next week. And then from there, just continuing to build that out. But I appreciate you guys having me. Apologies for being on the road, but look forward to tuning in when I've got, at my setup and I can contribute a little more.
No worries, man. I mean, thanks for hopping on, even though you were on the road. So no need to apologize. No need to apologize. As for me, I want to thank everybody for the generous super chats. Kaylee, Inquisitor Tibby, and Lee, Project Alathina. Thank you guys so much for contributing to the show. I very much appreciate that. As for me, link to the Substack, jacknapier.substack.com is in the chat. New essays every week, backlog over 100 essays, 3 free audiobooks, monthly Q&A, plus a private community, and of course, the book On Women out now on paperback and Kindle. Link to that will be in the comment section, description, and live chat. Hit the like, subscribe if you haven't. We're almost at 5K, so that's pretty awesome. And comment down below your thoughts of this show. We will be back next week on either Rolo's or Nuke's or whomever's channel. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys soon. Cheers.